Hello and welcome to the CraftyLittleRat podcast, episode 8. My name is Hannah. I'm also known as CraftyLittleRat on Instagram, CraftyLittleRat on Instagram, and Ravelry. I do have a Facebook group, CraftyLittleRat Creations, but it's not particularly active at the moment, and it was more for my stitch markers. I apologise for today. It's going to be a bit fast and loose because I haven't recorded since before Christmas because I've been quite busy. It's just I went up to my parents on the 18th of December and we stayed there till the 2nd of January. I could have recorded there, but I couldn't have uploaded because they don't have particularly fast internet. I would have strangled the speed for everybody for the entire week and got over their download limit. Well, upload limit, possibly, probably. So then, since coming back, the weather has been awful. It's not particularly great today. I've got the windows that side, and then there's a door that side, and you see the light just changed on me again. It's not great. I had computer issues. My computer, the sound decided to not work. And Windows 10, I couldn't re-download the sound driver. It's like, this is already installed. And it's like, maybe it is, but if it is, it's not working. So I had to revert everything back. So I've lost a lot of my programs. So I'm recording this on Movie Maker. I haven't got my microphone on, so I apologise if the sound is coming from the laptop. Because I don't actually know where the speaker is for the laptop volume. I know where the webcam is, but I don't know. I've got to have my laptop on a cooling pad because these things sort of heat it through a lot. So yeah, excuses. But this weekend is the last weekend I'll have a chance to record for well over a month, actually. I know for certain I will have a chance to record for well over a month. Me and my other half are going to Canada. Yay, we're going to Vancouver for 3 weeks, and we fly out on February the 2nd, which is not this Tuesday but the Tuesday after. So it's literally a week on Tuesday. We fly, and next weekend is getting a lot of bits ready. It's Reese's 30th birthday while we're over there, so we're getting a lot of stuff. He needs to get like his birthday present. He's getting a new tablet for his birthday and Christmas, so we need to go and buy that, and because it's payday Friday, get the last sort of bits, and then we're going out for a meal with his mum and his stepdad for his birthday, and then the day after it's our niece's birthday. So we're having a family birthday party for her because it's her first birthday. So there's a lot of things going on. So I honestly don't know when I'll next have a chance to record. For definitely. But I'll try and do something while I'm away. But if not, it will be March. So I wanted to get something done now because my pile of FOs is just mounting up. So this might be a little bit of a long one. I'm going to try and run through stuff as quickly as I can. I haven't got show notes typed up in front of me either. I will try and remember and go through them and type something up. Again, I've lost all my word processing software. I have downloaded LiveWriter, which is what I usually use to post to the blog, so that might work. But anyway, so if I forget needle sizes or yarns or things, I might have to just quickly sort of lean over and look them up on the computer as I go. Okay, so works in progress. You're still working on that. 2 new things, actually. I'm trying to this year be quite good with my monogamous knitting or semi-monogamous knitting. 2 projects to go, and that's it. So, with that in mind, after I finished a few bits I'll talk to you about later, I cast on for Fabergé. Now, Fabergé is a... let's see, the stitch marker's in the way. There we go, that's a bit better. Just see the owl in the middle. It is a bottom-up shawl. So, these 2 sides are going to sort of come up and make the V shape of the shawl, but this is all I've got done. I say all I've got done so far. The rows are like 440 stitches long, so yeah. I've just got to decrease down this centre a little bit more, so I've got I need 3. I need 2 more rows actually to do in the middle, and then that'll be done. The yarn for these is, for once, actually not on the floor. That's good for me. So this is the yellow that I'm using, and that is for the ruffle and the overlay, and then the background colour for the other bits. Before we go any further, I am really sorry about this spot. I have no idea why it decided to pop up right in the middle of my forehead, and it's so super visible. But yeah, whew. 25 and I'm still getting acne, but anyhow. And the yarn is something I bought last year at Wonderwall. My aim before Wonderwall this year is to use up the yarn I bought at Wonderwall last year. So the yarn is Whistle Bear. It's a bit long, but Yavering Bell, and the colour of the ruffle. Something else for something earlier. The colour of the yellow is Cuthbert's Rest, and then the grey, which is going to be the main colour of the body, is called Minnow. The yarn content is where is it? 60% fine kid mohair, 40% best Wensleydale wool. Worsted spun in Yorkshire and dyed by hand on the farm in Northumberland. 100 grams at standard condition, 330 metres or 360 yards. So I needed to go down a needle size on this one, actually, from what the pattern recommended. I think the pattern recommended a 4, and I am using a 3.5. Oops, sorry, kick the rubbish bin that's in front of the table with the laptop on. Yes, I'm using a 3.5, dropping stitches off the end apparently. Yes, I'm using a 3.5mm needle for the ruffle, and then I'm going to use a 3mm needle for the body after the smocking section, which is coming up next, and I'm really looking forward to that. I do have some beads to use, and I'm going to use some blue beads, so that section is going to take me quite a while. I'm not looking to have this done before we leave. I mean, you know, given that we leave next a week Tuesday, it's not looking particularly likely, but I'm hoping to at least have a good sort of a section done of it. I'm not taking it with me. It's just too much, and I'll talk about that a bit later on as well, I think, because beads and because yeah. So you need 2 different needle sizes. You need a 4 and a 3.5 I'm using, and a 3mm, because I did do a tension square, which was useful before casting on. Because originally I'd actually thought I wanted to have the grey as the ruffle, and then the yellow as the main body with the grey over it as the... But it just didn't show at all. So I reversed the 2 colours, and you can actually see better now the overlay with it being the yellow, so that works. But yeah, but no, not taking with me. Too much hassle to take with me. So my other current work in progress is in a very cute bunny bag. This was for sale in my LYS. It's just a plain drawstring trainer bag, plimsoll bag, sort of a style, but it works really well. And this is what I'm knitting on. It is a pair of socks, which, if anybody's been following me on Instagram, will not be a huge surprise because of socks. This is an opal sock yarn. It's one of the rainforest colourways. I can't remember which, but it seems to have quite a bit of green in it. I rewound, it is falling apart a bit on me, but that's fine. I rewound the yarn into a cake. So yeah, it's majoritively green, but it's got these sort of flecks of orange and flecks of grey within it. I am using 2.5mm needles, and they are my Shagoo needles. Wake the screen up again. I like these. I refound my 2.5s, and I really like these because the cord is it's the lace cord, which has the sort of the steel within it, so it's not particularly obvious now, and I've got a bit taffled up, but when you're sort of magic looping, your loop stays fairly solid versus sort of, you know, hanging down and flopping about all over. Weirdly though, I did try them on one of my finished objects, and I'll talk about them when I get there, because I needed a 2.5mm that needs to go down a size, and I didn't like them. I didn't like them on this thing. I have another pair that I'd been using for socks of higher sharps, and I much rather enjoyed using those for the hat than these. Now that is really tough, so I'm just going to have to just shove them all back in and go and sort that out when I finish recording. Fast and loose. Right. Go down on the floor. So that's all I'm actually working on at the moment. I'm trying to really keep to this 2 project malarkey. So one for at home that requires a little bit more intelligence, a little bit more brain, and then one for at work. I knit on the way to work. It's about 20 minutes at the moment because of because they closed the bridge outside of our house. So we used to just sort of go out the road, turn right, over the bridge, and then we used to be on the distributor road, which would take us straight to work. But now we have to go sort of all the way through town, which is hilariously good, and I'm glad I'm not the one driving, because it's annoying and so much more traffic, especially depending when you leave. But it can take us anywhere between sort of 10 minutes and 20 to 40 minutes to get there or to get home, dependent upon the time of day. So yeah, so I'm getting a lot of knitting time in there. I'm getting 20 minutes in at lunch as well, which is quite nice. Right, okay, so just the 2 things. I have to... Whee! Getting a bit warm actually. There we go, that's better. My jumper's a bit big, but it's nice and cosy, so it just makes me look huge as well, which is a good thing. Well, I have put on weight over Christmas, but hasn't everybody? God, I am so sorry. This is going to be such a blathery episode. But no, sorry, not sorry. This is my, you know, this is my podcast, and I should embrace whatever I want to embrace. Okay, so finished objects. I've got a fair few to show you. I'm going to try and roughly hunt them out in order of things I've last shown you. Okay, so right, this will do first, I suppose. Haven't got these on blockers, but I've got one pair on blockers. Wonder whether I can. Yes. Hold on. Brief interlude. Yeah, make your own interlude music up as you go along. I've just put the one on the blocker. So these are the socks I podcasted briefly about in the sort of the Christmas mini-sode. The Whiz Bang socks by Mrs. Shoe was the designer. From used to be part of the Inner Snit podcast, but it's now gone to an audio podcast on her own. I don't listen to very many audio podcasts, so I find it hard to concentrate without the visual efforts. But that's the first one. The yarn for these was hand dyed by my very talented friend Angie, and was given to me as could be a Christmas present, or it could have been a birthday present last year. It was a present for something, and I haven't used them. Probably birthday, I would say. I haven't used them, but there are 2. She did use a very different heel on these, and I'm not entirely sure if I like them. Because I'm blogging about them, or vlogging about them, or podcast, whatever, because I'm showing them on here, I haven't yet worn them. So yeah, it's a case of we'll see how they go. It was toe work, these were, and it is a very differentiated that you can sort of see, but it's because there's a bit of a gap there, it's a very differentiated left and a right toe. These were 2.5mm needles, which is my standard sock. My standard sock needles. These sock blockers are a tiny bit too big actually, which doesn't hurt, but normally I did tried to make sure that I was a bit more conscious with how much rib I've been doing on my socks lately, because I'm not a huge fan of ribbing, so I'm very much of the thought process that when I'm done, I'm done. But I did make an effort on these. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, about 20 rows of rib on these, which will be, as you'll notice, will become a sort of a standard number for me in a minute. So I finished those while I was away. So down there. Then I finished. I took quite a few projects to Mum's, including my TGV, the high-speed knitting shawl out of handspun. That I have shown you guys this because I was working on it, because it was nice and easy to have a go at in work, because it was garter and then it changed to never-ending 2x2 ribbing. So I managed to finish this on, I want to say it was the day before Christmas Eve. We were playing a game of Pathfinder with my sister and her boyfriend, and I was like, oh, do you think I'll have enough for one more row, or do you think I should bind off? And we all sort of came to the consensus that I should bind off, which was a very good consensus because I didn't actually have a huge amount left. So yeah, it's very wide. I'm not used to these wide shawls, but I do quite like it. I'm not adverse to it. The yarn is a Welsh black, is the black strand, and that was plied together with a strand of New Zealand corridor. So I wasn't 100% convinced on the mild barb pole effect. I'm going to say that's the wrong way around, but it's not, because it's garter stitch. There isn't a right side and a wrong side, which is helpful because, you know, I definitely think I'd make this shawl again. Don't know whether I would maybe take efforts to make it not be so crescent, but so sort of crescent shaped, but it is something, I think it's something that as I get used to wearing it, it's quite nice to sort of, you really can make it into a collar, sort of a snoody type shawl, and that would be nice to just, you know, sort of have instead of a shawl, or a traditional scarf. Yeah, no, I do quite like it. It's a tiny bit itchy, that's the black Welsh, but it's not horrible. I think it probably will soften up with wear and with wash. I think I used 3.5mm needles on this, and as I say, it was a hand spun, so you do have bits that are a bit thicker and a little bit thinner in places than others, but yeah, oh, that's horrible, that makes it look even worse than it is. Come on, backlighting, there we go, the blue lighting, when it's a bit more cool, a bit more blue, that's a better colour. Yeah, I really am that sort of paley white at the moment. I'm not exactly going on a sun holiday either, so don't expect any miracles when I come back. Yeah, so that's the TGV, high speed knitting. Quite enjoyed doing that, and I probably will, I won't count out to doing another one of those in the future. So then I wanted a quick win, and as I said, I bought the yarn for this a while ago, and I have actually shown the yarn for this on the blog. It is the Barbel Hat by Donna somebody. Donna. Come on. Oh. If I put it on. Donna Smith. It would be something that generic that I would forget what her name was. But yeah, I really like this actually. I used Let Lopi, which is the thinner weight of Lopi. It's the Aran worsted weight as opposed to the chunky weight which Lopi normally is. I made a giant bobble. I thought go big or go home with regards to the bobble, and I did the brim big enough so that the brim can be folded to keep your ears nice and toasty. I think this hat took me a day from cast on to cast off, and then another day with regards to making the bobble, because I had the bobble's got specks of the white in it, because I hadn't got a bobble maker at Mum's, and I thought, oh, I'll be fine, and then no, I decided I really actually wanted a bobble. So the bit that everybody always wants to see is the inside, and I did actually just truly strand the inside. I didn't use any sort of special techniques, so if you do look closely in some parts of the sheep, you can see the little bar in the middle of this black one here. That's where my finger's poking at in the middle, but it's not the end of the world. It's a very woolly hat, because it is 100% Icelandic wool. I might just leave it on actually. It covers my spot, that's not a problem. Should have recorded like this, but never mind. No, because I've got other hats to try on. I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, no, I really like this. I think it was it a 4mm needle, 3mm for the, I've got it open actually. The colours I used were, I just put green, grey, natural. Yeah, but Icelandic Lopi. I didn't actually even put a needle size, but I did use the ones that were recommended in the pattern. Some people have said that that made their hat a bit too big, 4 and a 4.5. But I didn't find that that did. I found that mine is sort of, it's the perfect. It's got a tiny bit of slouch to it, but not a huge amount. And I don't have a particularly large head, I don't think anyway. But yeah, I really like it, and it's one of those things where it just sort of feels so sort of sheepy, you just want to sort of sit and pet it. So that's the barbel hat. Then I cast on a, can't remember the exact order I cast this on, but we'll do the hats first, seeing as the hats are on top. I cast on a swirl hat. So this I wanted to use the lovely rainbow yarn, Lang Magic de Grade, that's the one. Didn't even have to look that up, it came into my head. Lang Magic de Grade in rainbow that I bought from my LYS, and I didn't have the 3.5mm needle that they're scored for, so I just thought, it'll be fine, and cast on using a 3 instead. And I wish that I'd just made it a tiny bit bigger, put an extra repeat in. I haven't yet blocked this one, so I'm wondering if I can potentially, I have blocked the barbel hat. I blew up a balloon, I put a balloon inside the hat, blew it up to roughly my head dimensions, and then I steam blocked it on the thing, but I haven't yet blocked this, so I'm wondering if I give it a wash, maybe it will relax a little bit more. The stitch pattern swirls across the hat, which is really cleverly done, and I love the way that it looks worked up in this yarn, but it is a little bit short for me, but I do love it so much. It took less than a ball, so I figure if I need to, or would like to make myself a bigger one, I always can. I don't know, I might try and wear this when we go to Canada and see whether I enjoy wearing it, because I love the way it looks, but I'm not entirely sure, as I say, about the fit. It is incredibly tight, but my thought process is, because this is a very sort of a skin tight beanie, if it is incredibly cold, I can always wear this one and then wear that one on top of it, so I've got sort of a double lid helmet effect, you know, so that I am really keeping the worst of the wind off. And then they come out together. My hair is going to be abysmal after this, when I'm finished with this episode. But yeah, I used the 3mm needle, and I should have gone for a 3.5. I will argue that now. Definitely use the needle, it says, but it is quite a stretchy hat. But of course, as we're knitting, the general nature of knitting, of course, as most of you know, is that when you stretch things that way, they shrink upwards. So you can see that that comes down sort of to there, to my, sort of past my wrist bones, and then when I stretch it out, it comes up to directly onto my wrist bones. So yeah, if I use my sleeve as a gauge, so about there and then up, you can see more of my hand when I stretch it. But anyway, yeah, but that was, it was a really interesting knit. I also like the wrong side of this pattern with the pearl swirls. That looks quite nice as well, so I might do myself another one, but it's sort of more of a subtle stripe inside out than it is around and around. Sort of looks a bit like entrelac, somebody did say to me, but yeah, fan of that. Okie dokie, I can go back down. Okay, so the next thing was my Christmas Eve cast on socks. So Little Bobbin Knits, which is a video podcast, she's sort of had the idea for last Christmas and this Christmas that on Christmas Eve we cast on something that we really love, something for us, something, you know, socks, or she always does socks, but yeah, something that you know you really love. And she does a birthday cast on as well, which I'm incredibly behind. I love the idea of being able to make something special for you. well, actually, not that anything else here has been for anybody else, but so I chose these. These were my Opal Happy that I showed you, or Opal Smile. Opal Happy. It's either Opal Happy or Opal Smile, or it's Opal Happy in the Smile colourway. Opal Happy Mid Silver Effect in the 9091 colour, which I think is happy. So yeah, and there is a second one here. Again, as you can see, I'm really getting into my longer rib on the socks. These ones have a traditional top-down construction with a, not that you can particularly see it very well, but with a heel flap and a gusset. And I do quite like that. And then I do a traditional banded, rounded toe where you decrease at the start and at the end of each needle. So you decrease at the top, start at the top, end at the top, bottom at the bottom, start at the bottom, end at the bottom. So yeah, so I really like those. Again, these were 2.5mm needles, and I think these only took me 3 or 4 days from start to completion. But then it was Christmas, so Christmas Eve we didn't do a huge amount, and I definitely got through the cuff. And then Christmas Day, again, though I did fall asleep a fair bit on Christmas Day actually. But again, these have been worn once. I wore these on New Year's Eve and then washed and blocked them ready to show you guys on the podcast. So yeah, I really like those. I think they're going to be... I think I was the only person in the world who's actually had trouble with this yarn. The silver thread kept coming loose for me, and whether it's the way I knit, but it's sort of the ply kept coming loose and I kept having to sort of just push it down. But I think that might have just been me. But as you can see, overall they are, the sparkle didn't affect at all the sparkle in them. I hope it catches the sparkle because they are ridiculously lovely. I'm definitely going to make sure I get a bit of wear in these next week. I had thought that I was going to pack all of my socks for Canada, and then I realised that hand-knitted socks take up a lot more space in your luggage than cheap cotton socks. So I was thinking, I'm sorry, I'm playing with my hair, it's got to be annoying. So I was thinking that what I'm going to actually do is I will buy cheap cotton socks and use those. Because I'm happy to wash those while I'm away. Buy 10 pairs and wash them halfway through. That will do me for the holiday. Whereas I don't trust other people's washers to not chew up my hand knit socks, which I think is a fair thing, and I don't want to have to hand wash them, and I don't think hand washing them gets them as clean anyway. Plus we're doing a lot of walking and I don't want to wreck them. Okay, so the next thing I cast on then after I'd finished those was on New Year's Eve. So I don't know whether many of you, if you watch other podcasts, you possibly know about the Canadian Knitters Winter Camp 2016 that's going on. So this is a knitting competition, a bit like sort of Harry Potter House Cup, those sort of things, where you knit and you get points for things you've knit. You get points per 50 grams, and the points are different. So a worsted weight will obviously be less points than a lace weight. So I was sorted into Team Arctic Wolf, and so we cast on after 7 PM on the 31st of December. So I did, and my first things I cast on were my Christmas present from Reese actually. I had dropped incredible hints, and I wasn't entirely sure they'd got through, but I was very happy when I unwrapped my presents on Christmas Day to find 2 balls of sock yarn. And it was the 2 balls I'd requested as well. Now these are quite long. I made a very long leg on these, so they come actually over the top of the sock blocker. But this is the West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply. The red is Cherry Drop, and then the self-pattern, self-striping, the green, dark green, white and red is called Holly Berry. So yeah, so I cast those on. They're a top-down construction. I started with the rib, but they've got a Fish Lips Kiss heel, which appears to now become my default heel. As you can tell, there's a couple more that have that rather than a top-down heel. That's fine. Yes, these were my first pair for January. I was trying to think, I thought I'd done another one, but I haven't. This is my first pair for January. And then again, they've got the standard rounded, standard toe. Just sort of shifted a bit, but that's fine. So yes, so I do have 2 of these. That's my second one. I haven't yet worn these either because I wanted to show you guys on the podcast first. So yeah, I really like West Yorkshire spinners. This is the second time I've knit with it in the space of sort of 6 months. Angie bought me the owls and the complementary colour for the owl bird colourway, and so I made that into a shawl into the Bay Area Knitter Mystery Knit Along, and really enjoyed that. And so yeah, but I really enjoy these, and I'm going to be interested to see how well they sort of wear up as socks. So I'm gonna, again, these I haven't worn yet because they've been on the blog. So that's the other thing about having a fish lips kiss heel, is they do fold over together well as pairs, and your heel just sort of sits out, which is pretty good. Alright, bear with me 2 seconds because I'm gonna have to. And we're back. Reese, there might be a bit of background noise because Reese has come home from his hunter-gatherer shopping. I love it. I can send him to Aldi or Lidl, and that's fantastic because it's, I don't know, it's a very sort of hunter-gatherer setup of a supermarket. I need cornflakes, there is cornflakes. I put cornflakes in basket, I am done. So, you know, he enjoys shopping like that. He hates supermarkets, but Aldi or Lidl, he's not too bad on. So anyway, I was just saying, I finished with the socks, so that automatically gave me 21 points. Because 50 grams plus 50 grams is 14 plus 7 for under 50 grams. It's 21 points. It's brilliant. Each month there is a dedicated designer. Sorry, that's my camera about to fall off. There is a dedicated colour, garment theme, and a colour, garment, designer theme. So this, for January, it was something for your head. There was a list of featured designers, and the colours was either, I think it was blue or purple. Don't know, I went for blue anyway. So I cunningly looked at the list beforehand, and I sort of planned it out. I'm trying to go for the triple points every single month, and I'm trying to get the triple points in one item. So this month I went for this hat, which is a sort of a cabled, it's got a little bit on it, sort of cabled toque, I don't know, cabled beanie, cabled hat. So it's got, you can see the sort of the crown decreases come in into a really sort of a pretty centre. The pattern, which I'll have to go and look up again for you, as Merrick, and it is by Amanda Schwab, who is one of the featured designers. I used 53 grams, so I got points for 50 grams, I got points for my over 50 grams, and I got and I also got points, 20 points for it being a hat, 20 points for it being blue, and 20 points for it being by a featured designer. So I was really happy with that. It is Aran weight, worsted weight yarn. It's Cascade 220, and the colourway is 9419. So I bought this at Get Knitted in 2010 according to my stash. So yeah, it's sort of been in there a long time. I've made it into I tried to make it into a hoodie, a Central Park hoodie, and then I didn't, and then I tried to make it into and I never got very far with it, and then I tried to make it into a vest. I made it into a vest I wore to Wonderwall one year, and I didn't like that, so I ripped it out. So I still actually have all of the yarn left, and it needs to at some point this year become a sweater for me, I think, or a cardigan, a zipped up cardigan, because that's what I wear more of. But I thought the hat was nice, and it didn't use too much yarn. Anyway, so that was my second winter camp project. And that was really quick. I was off poorly one day, and I knitted that in the majority of the day, including some heavy naps. So yeah, and then I've got one more thing to show you. You'll be glad to know that this is the last thing on my list. I have finished oh no, sorry, I've got one more thing. Then I cast on another pair of socks. This is an opal colourway again, and it's called City Whispers, or it's German. It's got the German name on it. which is Startgeflüster, which sounds quite aggressive in German normally. In German sometimes I think I did German in secondary school, but yeah, Startgeflüster means city whispers. So yeah, I really like this. This was a gift from my friend Melissa, who sent me 2 balls of sock yarn, and I'll show you the other one in all shiny. So yeah, so that's for one sock, and then that's the other sock. These again, plain socks, fish lips kiss on the heels, because it's just so easy to do, and you can do it wherever, whenever. You can stop halfway through and pick it up. You still know where you're going. So yeah, so I really like those, and I can't wait to wear them as well. All of next week is just going to be wearing my hand knit socks. I need to actually officially get a proper sock drawer set up in my wardrobe, in my chest of drawers, because I like to keep my hand knit socks separate from my other socks. And of course they do have a separate washing. I try and wash. I need to get a separate little wash basket actually for them, because I now have more socks than I actually have sock blockers. So I can't block them all at the same time, so I need to sort of keep an eye on it, and when it gets to 8 to 10 pairs in the washing basket, actually take them down and run them through a wash load and lay them out to dry. So those also counted for camp, another 21 points for me. I've just realised I've got yet another FO that's actually on the back of the sofa. 2 seconds. Now I'll carry on shouting across at you guys as I sort of talk about this, and I'll bring back the beads for Fabergé as well, because they were sat on the sofa. Right. See, I told you that I've just had so many finished objects that I've actually lost track of them. And bearing in mind it was sort of early December, I podcasted. It's only really been a month. I just seem to have been incredibly on the go. These are the beads that I'm going to use for Fabergé. They're sort of blue. I thought I'd bought them for something else, but I thought they'll be a nice contrast with the yellow and the grey, maybe. I don't know. Yellow and grey not being my normal colours, but I've got a whole bag of them, so I thought I might as well use them for something. My other thing that counts for winter camp, because I was trying in my head to go along, and I remembered I had one that I'd been questioned about because of the... I'm so used to working with balls of yarn that are 100 grams or 50 grams. This is a large ball of yarn I bought. Not last Wonderwall, but the Wonderwall before. So I am using old Wonderwall stash as well. And I made another maple leaf shawl for me. And I'm not entirely convinced how best to wear this one, because it is an awkward sort of a shape. So I normally end up just sort of tucking those down and sort of wrapping the points. I might, now I've woven in the ends, I might maybe I had a bit of a big blocking session when I finished this, because I had socks and I had this and I had and we've got suitcases in the location where I normally block ready for the holidays. So after I've recorded this, I might go put this in the bath for a little bit, or in the sink, give it another good bath and get it soaked, and just sort of stretch it a tiny bit. There's a bit more give in the yarn. It's opened up considerably, but I still don't think it's as big as the one I made for Christina. I don't think I blocked it as harshly. And I know I was very constrained this time around with how I'd laid out my blocking mats, and I really should have done that better. But there we go. So this is my second one of these, because I made one for Christina. She is smaller than me, so if I can't actually get it to go much bigger, I don't know why, maybe my tension's changed or something, then I will maybe swap with her, because she is a lot smaller. I use 4.5mm needles, and the pattern is Maple Leaf Shawl by Natalie at Elf Moda. It is an incredibly detailed pattern. It is 18 pages. Because obviously they have to account for each one of these little bits is worked sort of backwards and forwards individually, and then you reattach and reknit. So I counted, and there was 50 ends to weave in just for this one shawl alone. So yeah, so I was a bit sort of done with it by then, and I didn't want to pull it too hard in case because I wove in after I'd finished, and I feel that maybe when I've woven in, I've sort of pulled some of the points back in a bit. So I'm going to give it another wash, I think, and another block, possibly block and pin it out again this afternoon. So yeah, but I really, really like it, and I think, even if you're sort of, that's better, if you're sort of doing it like that, you can still sort of lay it out. I think when I posed Reese with the original one, I made sure to make sure that the central spine lay down the chest, and then gathered these other bits sort of loop around like this, or sort of put one off centre. But yeah, it needs to be bigger, so I'm gonna wash and reblock. The yarn for this one is Easy Knits Big Boy, which is their 4-ply. I think again, if I made another one, I would possibly go for a DK weight yarn or a worsted weight yarn, just to make it more substantial sized. Sure, maybe that's a personal preference, and obviously I'm not, although I'm not as big as I used to be, I'm not exactly a small person. I'm still in sort of size 14 to 16 to 18, dependent upon the shop tops. You know, I'm not, and I never will be, and no matter how much weight I use, I will always be, you know, sort of broad, and so maybe bigger shawls are maybe just the way to go for me. But anyway, my last finished object is another hat. Yet another hat. So this is really not showing up very well, unfortunately, because of the background, but I hope you can see. The hat is called the Forest Hat, but it does have a proper name, which is, it begins with a K and is really hard. Conglelua hat, I think. We'll go with that anyway. So I'm just trying to show you the crown shape as well there. It's by Ingrid Freeland, and I knitted it in hedgehog fibre sock. I started this hat and I knitted the brim, which is knitted in sort of a mock cable. The knit twos are sort of a mock cable. You knit the second one before the first one, so it creates sort of a mock cable. And that was all well and good, and then I got past that and I started doing the hat pattern, and then I was, no, it's just too big, so I had to go down again a needle size. So I went down to a 2.5mm needle in the end. The yarn is hedgehog fibres yarn, sock yarn. So I find I've got to be really careful with this actually, because I don't normally wear particularly slouchy hats, but you've got to be careful with how you put them on, haven't you? Get all the hair out of my face. Kiss has gone from bad to awful. But yes, the yarn is incredibly soft. It's hedgehog fibres sock yarn, hedgehog fibres sock, and the colourway is Lupi, L-U-P-I, which I think is an exclusive for a yarn story in Bath, which is where I picked this up. So I really like it. It's not very often I have slouchy hats sort of in my repertoire. It's not very often I actually wear a hat full stop, to be honest with you, but I was thinking with Canada it's a perfect opportunity to take and wear more hats. I don't normally need hats, you see, because I go, you know, sort of outside of my front door and I'm at my car, and then I go about 80 yards from my car to my place of work, which is centrally heated and boiling, and then I come back out, and then, yeah, again, I'm never that far without a hat, but I have actually been wearing this one quite a bit around the house, so yeah, I'm really loving it, and it's super soft, and it's going in my packing as soon as I finish recording. You know, I haven't packed clothes yet. I haven't packed jeans or t-shirts or anything like that, but I have packed knitwear. I've got the idea of what sort of knitwear I want sorted and packed and done, but yeah, you can come in if you want. Reese is, he hates being here when I'm podcasting. I've just dropped a skein of yarn over the side. Yarn down, yarn down. So my next section, as always, is shiny, which is the things that I have bought. Now actually I didn't buy a lot this year. I went into town and I went to my parents' town, Louth, and I went to M&G Designs, which is a small wool shop in town, the only wool shop in town, apart from Boys, which sells wool. I did have a look around Boys, and there was a few things I was interested in, but it was stuff I could get elsewhere and stuff I didn't particularly need. I'm trying to be mindful this year, which might impact my stash buying, though when I get back from Canada I will have a huge amount, I guarantee. But I'm trying to be a bit more mindful about buying for buying's sake with regards to yarn. So, but I did find this, and I couldn't. Reese picked this up originally, and I could not let it go. It's Juniper Moon Farm Findlay, which is a lace weight, and it is in the colours of yellow, green, pink. 118 is the colourway name. Now it's a bit. They say, oh well, it's in a. They do say, oh well, you won't have to wind it because it comes in a conveniently donut. But I hate these donuts because they always collapse on me, so I probably will rewind it before. I'll show you the label a bit better before I need to rewind it. I've got 2 other colours of this lace weight, so I don't know. I'm in 2 minds as to whether to see how well they go together, and then as to whether to use them all in, like I say, a cardigan, a 3-coloured striped cardigan, or whether, which was my original aim with the 2, was to stripe the 2 as probably a featherweight, or whether to use this one for an actual shawl and then to use the other 2. But we'll see. Then the only other place I went on holiday was Dave's Wool in Grimsby, and there I got a new skein of Sirdar. That's really washed out. That's horrid. Can I bring it? No, that's just not going to work. Not even if I hold it there. Sirdar Heart and Soul. It's got green stripes and it's got blue stripes, and it's got sort of a khaki green and sort of 3 different colours of blue. Now it's saying that they're the same colour as my wall, but they're not. They are. Yeah, but that's really not showing very well. That it is. It's a 3-stripe blue green. I think it's 3-striped anyway. Reese has got his eyes on this one, but I'm not sure. I really liked it, so it may very well be mine. I knit both of us 64 stitch socks. It's just the length of the actual foot. So if I'm going top down, by the time I've turned the heels on them, I will. Because his my feet are quite broad, whereas his are quite skinny. So even though he does have a bigger shoe size than I do, they do tend to fit because he has worn and stolen my socks several times. The length is just a bit that's a bit off for him, but knitting is stretchy, and so he gets in trouble whenever he nicks my socks. And as long as he clips his toenails, they're the only rules. But by the time I've got down to the heel, I will know who these are for, whether they're for him or for me, because some of them, like the ones that I've just thrown on the floor, the last ones I completed, I was in 2 minds as to whether they were going to be for me or be for him, but then I decided to be a bit selfish because I didn't knit more of the foot and make them for me. And then the last things I've got to show you, this is a gift from, that's bright. This is a gift from my friend Melissa, Floramania colour, and I love this. I used up my one skein of this to make the socks from before Christmas. I can't even remember what I made. No, I made some sort of a sock in them, and I'm hoping to actually make this into a pair of swirl socks at some point. So that will be one of my projects when I come back. Probably when I come back from Canada, because I am taking socks with me, which I'll talk about in a second. But anyway, swirl socks I think are definite for this because I like it. It's the Floramania colour, and the colourway is 07188. I took my colour, I have worn now my Floramania socks, my other ones, because I took them and I reset the colour with citric acid over Christmas. The colourway, for this one was 0055. And I do like Heart and Soul. I have quite a few pairs of socks in Heart and Soul. Right, the only other thing I've got to show you is this, because how cute is this? My friend Angie brought it back for me from Germany. It's a felt owl, and it is an egg cozy, so I'm going to have to make sure to try and it's huge, but I'm going to have to try and have some dippy eggs to make this. But at the moment he's just sitting, he or she, I'm not quite decided yet whether it's a boy owl or a girl owl. It's sitting on top of my sitting with my other owl, sort of owl collection of owl ornaments and things. But yeah, I really liked it and I really wanted to show it. So that's it. I think I obviously will have more to show you when I get back from Canada. I may try and podcast while I'm out there. I'm going to have Reese's tablet in order to do a little bit on, possibly. My camera does record up to 30 minutes, my new camera. And I will have my phone as well, but it's the very much dependent when we get there on how fast our internet is. We do have internet at the apartment that we're staying in, but I'm not entirely sure, yet obviously how fast it's going to be, how much time I'm going to have. It's going to be a similar thing with battling the light. That's been my major problem actually with this podcast, is I want to record, and today is it's Sunday afternoon, it's 12:20, and the light is okay. It's not fantastic, but it's not as grey and overcast as it has been out there. And it's sort of like, do I maybe need to, when we get back, we've got energy saving bulbs in the living room and they're not particularly bright. Even at night I'm sitting there and sometimes I'm struggling to see my knitting a bit. So it's one of those things whether, I maybe need to upgrade the bulb. But I don't want to podcast and you guys not see it, because I've seen some, some podcasts when it's so dark you can't tell the colours, and they're saying, oh yeah, look, this is pink, and it doesn't look pink, it looks brown on the screen because of the sort of the poor quality of the light. And I am very conscious about that for my, my 4 viewers who watch this on a regular basis. I'm also very conscious of in the new year when I get back. I know it is the new year, but when I get back from Canada, I'm going to do a few tutorials for people. I know I owe a tutorial on crocheting. I'll try and do a beginner crochet tutorial, and I also have a tutorial in the works in my brain for how to read your knitting with regards to cables, which should be quite interesting, I hope, because I look at a lot of cable charts now and I don't often need to read the key. I'll have a cursory glance over, but it just makes sense in my brain, and I want to help other people have it so that it makes sense, because cables are fantastic and I love cables, they're brilliant. But yeah, so I'm going to I've roughly planned out my knitting for when we go to Canada. I have a shawl which will count for which will get me the triple whammy in the winter camp, which goes on through till the end of April. So no, end of March, end of March. So that will get me the triple, because it's shawl, designer, something for your neck, I think, or whatever it is. So shawls count. Shawl, designer, and colour. So that'll get me the triple, and it should be relatively easy to follow on the train. That was on the plane, on the bus journey down to London, and on the plane. And then for the rest of the journey and the rest of the holiday, my number one plan is for socks. Just because plain socks I can do top down. Relatively easy. I'll actually make sure to measure the length from the heel to the decreases for the toes and write that down somewhere so that I know exactly what length I need to be doing. So I can just, I can do those in polite company. I can do those in company. Polite company, really, should you be knitting. But I can do those in company, I can do those on trains, I can do those on planes, I can do those anywhere practically, and I don't have to look at my knitting, so I actually can see and take in what's around me, because I don't want to waste this holiday staring down at my knitting, because that's not the point of it. I don't know how much I'll get done, but I'm going to give it a go anyway, so we'll see. But yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic time, and if you follow me on Instagram, CraftyLittleRat, I will make sure to put as much as I can up about the trip, because it is, probably going to bore everybody else, but it's a once in a lifetime thing for us, really is, and it's Reese's special birthday, and it's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it, so hopefully catch you on the other side. Thank you ever so much for watching this shambles of a podcast. Ta-ra.